like, right now I could smell everything in a 20-mile radius.
Hmm. Don't get me started on that. That is the one thing I hate the most. And especially when you live in a city and you walk in like down the street and you get a whiff of either dog poop or human feces and you're just like throw the
Friend,
throw the nose away.
everything smells bad, everything
Yeah.
tastes bad all of a sudden. Like it's those things that I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's one thing for them to feel the simulated like
Hmm.
cramps, but there's so much more. Like,
Yeah.
and I think they don't realize how like because I hear a lot of men say, like, ain't y'all used to it? Like it happen every month. And I'm like, no, every month is a shock.
It's a
Like,
shock. It's different. Yeah, no.
I'm like,
Mm-mm.
I've been eating, you know, the Toll House chocolate chip cookies, how they come like in little
Hmm.
squares or whatever.
Yeah.
Friend, I've gone through like 3 packs of them in the last 2 weeks because it's the only thing that tastes good. Like it is the only thing that I can eat without being like, ugh.
And you know what kills me is the lead up to the period. Like, remember I was telling you the last time it was like a huge like lead up, and my mom thought I was going insane when I was home the last time, and she's like,
Hmm.
"Bro, this is like really like legit." I was like, "Yes, it's legit." Like, there's a whole like, did you not have a uterus too? You used to bleed out too. Do you not remember this? Like,
Like,
come on, it was like a lead up, and then like the cravings before, like I'd be craving like something like just random, like 2 weeks before. Like, why? Why?
or
Uh,
like, and it's like the craving hits you in a way that it's like you don't think like, oh, my period is coming. It's just this
yes.
random like I literally was dreaming about warm chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, when you put the cookie in the last time, yeah, no, that would ruin everything. Yeah, no.
That's why I was like, friend, I burnt these cookies. I'm really about to cry because
Yeah, no, that, yeah,
it
over the
makes sense now,
edge.
right? I was
Yeah,
like, it's the
yeah.
only thing that I like
Hmm.
genuinely want to eat. Last month it was Chipotle. God damn steak ball
Ooh.
was hit like tastes like
Yeah.
I had never eaten it before.
Did you try the new chicken they have yet, or is just the
No.
steak that you
I just
wanted?
got the steak. It was the steak that I wanted. And it was every
Mm.
time I was like, oh, they making it with love. Like this was I know it was my
Mm-mm.
hormones. It wasn't they wasn't doing nothing different at the Chipotle. It was my hormones because I was like,
Yeah.
I need
Mm-mm.
rice, beans, and steak right now with a lot of cheese.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy. I really wish I hope in my next life I remember to read the fine print when they ask me, do I want to be a girl or a
Do I want
boy?
to be a girl? Make me a boy. I just want to whip it out. I just want to
I
whip it out
that's
and
it.
just
That
go.
is it.
Just go about my business.
That is it.
I want you to know I started packing.
Okay.
Um, I started packing the books.
Okay.
AJ said, "Girl, it don't even look like you even packed anything." I just packed one, like maybe two and a half. No, one shelf, one part of the shelf, the bottom rack.
What are you putting the books in to pack them? Are you putting them in boxes or totes?
These big uh gallon bags that I found on TikTok
Okay,
that
cool.
everybody said like the last time I moved, somebody was like, you need to get those big gallon bags so you can just put
Yeah.
your books in them. Because the last time I moved them in boxes and I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah.
So
That's why I was like, because what I have in my mind are those IKEA bags. Like,
yes, yeah, yeah. So it's like that type of material, but it's like 24 gallons.
okay.
So I started putting them, I was like, I don't know about this. So I started like going through like link the Pango books link. I'll send it to you
Hmm.
because I'm selling
Hmm.
books, some of
Okay.
them. I was like, bro, this is a lot of books. Like it's one thing to collect them once you like start collecting, you're like, wow, this is great. You're here. And then like
Hmm.
now you're like you have to move them. And now you're like,
Oh
I don't
yeah, when I
know.
move, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And like after the other day when I was going through my mom's bookshelf, I
Mm-hmm.
have to go and like clean her
Mm.
bookshelves off because a lot of those books are dusty and I want to like preserve them as best as I
Mm.
can. Like that. If I remember what I'm editing, I'll put a picture up on the screen. But that Good Pussy book, I want to preserve that because that I will tell anybody that listens that I found it on my mother's bookshelf.
That
In
is the
search of
most.
look, where's my phone so I can actually read the title out to y'all, to the people in the back of the church that cannot see it. In search of, here it go. In search of good pussy, living without love, the real truth about men and their relationships. And it's him holding this cat that's really sending me.
That's the part that was killing me when I saw it. And you know what's the irony? When you sent it to me, I just walked out of watching Sinners, and I'm like,
It's like that will be going in my little weekly wrap up carousel because
yes, yes. No, that's hilarious. Yeah, you got to go through your mom stuff. That you just got to go through and see what she got in there.
yeah, she has a lot of what's the lady's name that passed last year? Her last name was
Nikki
Ansa.
Giovanni? No.
No,
Mm.
hold on a second. Tina McElroy Ansa. She has a lot of her books.
I think I
Um,
remember seeing.
yeah, she passed back in September. So there are a lot of those that I want to read. She has most of them. She has a lot of like first
Oh
edition,
yeah.
J. California Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a lot of good stuff on her bookshelf. But it's like
Mm.
those things I'll probably just leave and get the paperback copies for me to read because I
Yeah.
want to preserve them. Like I have it
Yeah.
in my mind, like once I move like her collection, all of the like fancy stuff and like limited edition stuff will be the things that I have like, oh, that's my living room bookshelf that people get
Yeah.
to look at and that's real nice and pretty. And then in my office, I'll have my functioning like here's all the
Mm-hmm.
stuff that I'm either reading or have read or whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Yeah. That's nice.
Um, because I hope she know that all her books coming with me. That wasn't even a conversation. I
Yeah, you just gotta hand it over.
Yeah, they
Just hand
mine
it
now.
over.
Yeah,
Does she
because
ever reread any of them or not really?
no, it's funny you asked that because I when I said to her, when I was talking about jazz, which I'll talk about when we get to our weeks, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely reread it. And she's just like, I've never really reread a book. She's like, I know it already. And I was
Oh.
like, that's an interesting perspective because
Hmm.
yes and no, right? Like, yes and no,
Yeah.
you do know everything, but reading it a second time is a different experience. Excuse me. And she just was like, I never
Never thought about
thought
it.
about it that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
now, like, the Toni Morrisons that she has, I'm like, girl, we got copies you could read. Don't,
Hmm.
don't so much as breathe on it. Okay.
Yeah, because she has the original covers and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
And that was fascinating to her too. Sorry to cut you off because she was
Hmm.
like, "Oh,
No,
I
you're good.
wasn't buying them with that in mind," and I was like, "Nobody
Mm.
really is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you." I mean, Toni Morrison is Toni Morrison, but like, did we know at the time when these books were coming? Like, by the time
Hmm.
she got to Paradise, we knew who Toni Morrison was and whatever the case may be. But I'm like, in the beginning, those first few, you were
Hmm.
just a fan. It wasn't really a thing. Um, but I'm like, no, like I got gold. And then it was funny when I was going to link, I was looking for a link for jazz on it was either Bookshop or Amazon or something. And there was someone that was selling an original copy of Jazz, the hardcover that we have for $100. And I sent it to her and I was like, see?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, we have
we have that. But why would you want to sell it? Like for a
who
book,
knows?
like for book lovers, like that actually want to
Right.
revisit it, collect it. If you're like a legit book collector, why would you want to like sell?
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean,
She also has
yeah.
most, if not all, of Walter Mosley's first, like after
Edition.
most of
Mm-hmm.
the Easy Rawlins series, she has the first edition.
Mm.
She fell off at some point in time, so I have to actually
Hmm.
go through and see like which one she actually have, and most of them are signed to her. He's signed them.
Oh,
Yep.
you gonna win the lottery one day. Well, when you guys pass away, your kids gonna win
I'm
the lottery. I hope they
putting
don't
in my
sell it.
will that I'm hoping what happens is I end up famous enough where there will be a library and my editions can be safe somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have to worry being out. I create my own coliseum and put my books in there with me.
Just don't be selling them. Like
I'll come back to
signed
haunt the
copies.
whole lineage. You
Mm.
sold.
No,
Oh,
legit. That would be nuts if they did that.
nuts.
I would have to sue your estate if I'm
Yeah,
still
like
alive.
listen, something it's gonna be like generations of people. Like I'm gonna be on my deathbed, hand around somebody calling, like, you hear, do you understand me?
Mm-hmm.
Sell my books and watch what happened to you.
Exactly.
Watch what
That's
happened to you. But yeah, no, she has
that's cool.
it's a lot of stuff on there. Like I want to get into J. California Cooper's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know where to start. I think I'm gonna start with In Search of Satisfaction.
Yeah.
I gotta get there. It's a whole bunch of stuff I wanna.
Yeah. When you brought up Easy Rollins series, it made me rethink. I need to go back and read the rest of them. I need to pick them up and or like try to thrift them, see if I can. Because there's
Yeah.
like a nice like used bookstore here
Mhm.
that they have. I got a whole bunch of like first editions of I have two first editions of Richard Wright's
I
books.
love that.
Yeah, so I have to go back. I haven't been back since they opened their physical store, so I'm gonna see if I can find one there or just see if I can find it in general. But no, that's cool. That's dope.
Yeah, I think in my mind, what I like fantasize about, right, is that I will
Mm-hmm.
have a house where I'll be able to have like a lot of different spaces for my books.
Mm-hmm.
And as of right now, I feel like I'm just gonna be the crazy book lady. I don't think there will be a man living in my house or children. Um, so once I get to that point is when I'll probably start intentionally collecting. Whereas now, like I buy
Mm-hmm.
books for personal reasons, for whatever, but like I'll probably start thrifting intentionally with things to display.
Yeah.
Um, and like expanding my library of things that are my favorites, right? Like I would love to have multiple copies of Their Eyes Are Watching God if I can. I would
Mm-hmm.
love to have multiple copies of Beloved if I can. You know, like
Yeah.
to have around the house or whatever the case may be. So once I
Mm-hmm.
that's that's high
That's
up
a
on my
goal.
list. And
Yeah.
then I don't know if a man answer. I wish he shut up.
I hear him loud and clear.
But this is Shelby,
And this is Jess.
and welcome back to the League of Extraordinary Readers. We have church announcements.
We do.
First, we are going on a summer break for a little while. Um, life just be life, and we'll be
Mm-hmm.
back
Yeah.
around July. If you want to
Yeah.
see us, follow our personal socials,
Mm-hmm.
join our discords. The discords are usually the easiest way to get access to us on a daily basis. Um,
Yes.
follow our socials. There's that. Jess has a Pango. Go and buy books. I know you have to like to buy books. Reading and purchasing books are two separate hobbies. And I know you have to like to partake in both.
Yes. Please purchase. Please. Get it off. Get it off.
And your y'all are doing the book club for
Oh
why
yeah,
can't I think of the book?
Parable of the
Thank
Talents.
you. Because I'm
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
I ain't make that up. I know that's in my it was in there
Yes.
somewhere.
Parable of the Talents with Octavia's Bookshelf and Black Events LA, the community discussion on May 17th and 18th, 3 to 4:30. Yes. You can the Eventbrite link is in the description box. Come along, talk about it. If you didn't fully finish it, it's just going to be a really great discussion. If you finish Parable of the Sower, just come commune and be around some folks that love to read. It's like always a good time. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think
Is
that's
there
about
anything
it.
else? Okay. That sounds
Yeah.
about right.
How was your week?
Um, I'm gonna be honest with you, everything feels like a blur. I don't know what day it is. I don't I just been fly by the wind. You know that's
Mhm.
normally not me. But that like whenever the new month starts at the end of the week like this,
Yeah.
my mind does not compute it. Like I have a hard time transitioning from
Hmm.
like Monday was one month and Friday, Thursday, Friday is another. So I think that's what's going on. Um, I've been watching The Last of Us.
Hmm.
It makes my nerves really bad. Like they just fixed my heart the other month, and I don't think I don't think I
Yeah.
don't think it's safe for me on top of The Handmaid's Tale. So it's like Sunday is Last of Us, Tuesday is The Handmaid's Tale, and
Um,
there's not enough time between the two episodes. Um, this past Sunday, The Last of Us was calm, I will say. Like it's setting us up for this weekend's episode. And I like that they do that.
mhm.
Excuse me, because I don't think enough shows do that. So like I'm accustomed to watching Game of Thrones where every episode it was something.
Hmm.
Like, it was
Yeah.
never just we gonna turn this on and sit back and relax. Every episode it was something. But it's very good. It kind of makes me want to get a gaming system and play the game. Like very
Uh,
low key.
he said it's really good too. He loves it. He loved the
Yeah, and
game.
it's
Yeah.
like I like I think for you, although you don't like scary stuff, I think you'll appreciate the art of it
Yeah.
because it even for someone that like you don't really play video games, it still feels like a video game in some places. And I don't
Mm.
know how to explain that in a like artistically correct way. Like I don't know what those techniques are, but it's
Yeah.
like they'll pan to certain things and it feels like you're in a first person video game again.
Mm.
So that is really cool. And one of my friends played the game, or she has a friend that played the game, and she's been telling me like, after every episode, she gives me kind of like a debrief, like, okay, this was the same, this was a little off, or like they
Mm.
whatever, whatever. And most of it is to the T. Like
Mm.
it's rare that she's been saying to me like, oh nah, this is different, you
Yeah.
know? So that's been pretty cool. I read, I feel like I read a lot this week. A lot and nothing all at the same time because
Yeah.
I had to
Yeah. No.
last of the first of the month, everything is everything and
Yeah.
nothing. Um, okay, so I read two books this week. Um, I read Jazz by Toni Morrison. So I like to listen and read Toni Morrison's books at the same time. I've mentioned that before. I go to put on the audiobook, and the audiobook is a abridged version, which basically
Mm.
means that there are pieces missing. But I did not realize that that's the only audiobook that's available across the internet. I did not realize that. It is read by Toni Morrison though. So I turn on the book, I open my book and I'm going to read. And when I say friend, there are full paragraphs missing from the audio.
Oh.
Like it's not even like a word here or there or like a whatever. It's like big chunks of stuff missing. Um so I with my big brain was like, I wonder if what is being read is just the first edition of the book, and maybe Toni Morrison edited the book or
Mm.
added something later on, or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, okay, I want to find a first edition. And in my head, I'm like, I think my mom has one. And when I asked her, she was like, that doesn't sound familiar. I looked up the cover because Tism, I can't find things if I don't know exactly what they look like. Like you could say to me, Shelby, you're looking for Jazz by Toni Morrison. I know
Hmm.
how to read. My mind will it could be right in my face, and my mind will be like, I don't know. I don't know what you're
Hmm.
looking for. I don't know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
I need to actually see it. So I looked up a picture, and when I looked at the picture, I said, Mommy, I think you have this. So I'm going through her bookshelf. And not only does she have Jazz, she has the first edition of Paradise, she has the first edition of Beloved, she has the first edition of Tar Baby, she has the first
Wow.
edition of Song of Solomon. So now we have two first editions
Oh.
of Song of Solomon because I stole that other one from
Hmm.
that apartment building a couple months ago when I saw it. So now we have two. And it was just going through her bookshelf, realizing like
Mm.
my mom has like a gold mine. With that said, I'm eventually going to have to read the physical copy of Jazz because I want to know what things are missing. I listened to the audiobook
Mm.
because listening to Toni Morrison, her voice is just so fantastic.
Yeah.
Um, Jazz is messy in the way that Sula is messy.
Oh.
uh, yes, I've been waiting to tell you that, friend. It's messy in the way that Sula is messy because,
Okay.
and what I'm about to tell you is in the synopsis of it, but an older black man is having an affair with a 19-year-old girl who he kills. And the book opens up with his wife being dragged out of the funeral because she tried to stab the dead body. It's messy like Sula's messy. It's
Oh
messy like
yeah.
and the difference that I noticed like off rip is she in Jazz, drops us right into the mess. Whereas with
Mm.
Sula, we meet Shadrach and
Yeah.
we get to the mess eventually, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now Jazz, she opened it up with the
So what when did she let me look up what order was Jazz published? I
that's a good
wonder
question.
because I'm wondering.
Like I want to know, did she write them maybe at similar times or
That's yeah.
but
Hmm.
Sula, no, no,
Oh
no.
no. No, Sula was
Beloved,
first.
Beloved, Jazz, and there's another one I think is Paradise or technically a trilogy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Song so Sula was first published and then Jazz was published in 1992. So I think
Dang, Jazz only a scoop older than me. Ain't that some
yeah.
shit? Hold on, let me double check this. Because it's
Wow.
labeled as a trilogy, and that's something that I didn't know.
Or Love. What about Love? Is that the one that you're thinking of too, part of the trilogy or no?
It might be. I know it's Beloved. I
Okay.
feel like it's Paradise.
Okay. Let's see. Paradise.
Beloved, Beloved trilogy order. So for yeah, it's Paradise. So it's Beloved,
Oh, I
Jazz,
see
and
it.
then Paradise. And
Oh.
she talked about in the forward that she does for Jazz, she talks about how Beloved is like a study in mother love, like mother and child
Hmm.
love, right? And grief around that, or
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. Whereas this is more about how like that mother love shows up in romantic relationships. Like how that
Aha.
impacts
Gotcha.
because well, I won't tell you nothing else. But yeah, it's messy. It's crazy
Hmm.
because
Okay, so Beloved, Paradise, and Jazz are like a trilogy in a sense, but
mhm,
like they're separate stories.
right.
Okay, gotcha. So it's not like you have to read Beloved first to,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I
Okay.
don't think you have to necessarily read them in order. I think the order is historically correct, right? So
Mm,
like Jazz would be how that particular generation was dealing with love immediately after, like remembering being a slave and how they dealt with that,
aha.
with love in that way. Whereas
Mm-hmm.
Paradise, I mean, Jazz is post-war, right? So it's like
Okay.
we're removed from slavery in some senses, but it does cover sharecropping, and like the migration, right? The Great Migration, like how
Mm-hmm.
that those things also impact
Okay.
um love. And then Paradise, that's next. I'm probably gonna read Paradise this month.
Yeah, I would say because if you're off the heels of Jazz, I would definitely say go into
Yeah,
Paradise.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
go into Paradise next.
Yeah.
So we'll see. And then I read Another Word for Love by Carvel Wallace, which is one of
Mm.
Sarah's favorite books last year. A phenomenal memoir. Trigger warning for trauma. right? All encompassing. Whatever you could think of is probably in this book. But
Okay.
it's so poetic. It really, Shelby being
Oh,
Shelby,
that book. Yeah.
it feels like watching Euphoria
Ooh.
if Rue was poetic.
Hmm.
That's how it felt because he went through some similar stuff, like with
Mm-hmm.
addiction and like a tumultuous childhood. His mom just
Oh,
wasn't
wow.
stable. It's not that she
Mhm.
necessarily was an addict. I just think she was like fly by the wind, not really, you know, just she just wasn't stable.
Yeah.
So they were homeless a lot. They, a lot of evictions and things like that. Um, and it's just a very interesting. It was very interesting, but it's very very poetic. If you are a person that reads because you like style and the art of literature, it's a
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal memoir.
Okay.
Now, if you're a person that wants to read it because you like memoirs because you want to know more about, like, you want to be messy and know stuff about people's life, I don't necessarily think that it's going to satisfy that
Okay.
because although he is telling us all his business, he's not at the same time. Like, it's
Mm-hmm.
very reflective, but it almost feels like we're getting the perspective of his life from the child and the adult at the same time.
Okay.
Like, he like warps time in this way where it's not like chronologically ordered,
Mm-hmm.
but he's doing this thing where it's like I see how this moment when I was at this age and this moment when I was at this age connect.
Mm.
So you're getting like a little bit of everything.
Okay.
It's very, very reflective. I really, really, his writing style is just, it's really good. And the audiobook is good too. It's short. It's like 6 hours. So if you speed it up, it'll be like 4, 5.
Okay. I'll put
So
that
it's not.
on. Let me see if I can get it on Libby. I'll put that on there because that's all I'm going to be doing for the next couple of weeks is listening the
Hmm.
most. So that'd be
Yeah.
good to just dive into that. Okay.
And then
Cool.
I started Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan today.
Mm,
Um, so far I've only listened to about an hour.
okay.
So far I'm not annoyed and I don't feel like, nah, I don't wanna whatever. Like, I'm interested. I will say Hendrix is in the other two books, Hendrix is portrayed as this big personality.
Yes.
And in
Yes.
this one, she feels subdued. And it could be because she is having to deal with her mother's health.
Hmm.
Right. And when people go through traumatic things, we usually put on a front for our friends and whatever, and we try to remain
Extroverted.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Versus when we're by ourselves, we can have our feelings, so on and so forth. So I'm gonna give it that benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we'll see what happens with that.
Okay. Uh,
How was your week?
Similar to you. A little, it's like reading everything and nothing. It's been a weird, I don't know. Like I feel like I'm like, dang, it's Thursday. Dang, it's Wednesday. Like it just keeps like, oh, what am I gonna do today? Or like, oh, I'm tired. Or something like that. It's just so weird right now. I don't know how to explain it, but I just started kicking it into high gear. With like moving and stuff like that just to get things going because I'm gonna
Hmm.
lose a week of packing. So I might as well get started. So I started focusing on that. As far as reading, read Curvy Girl Summer, which was really great to read. I think it was a nice little breakup from reading. I was reading All We Were Promised. Yeah.
Hmm.
And I stopped that for a little bit and switched over to Curvy Girl Summer for the book club read. And that was actually a really great discussion because I think we dissected it in terms of like trying to figure out, like, obviously, the backdrop of like grief is very heavy in the book. The backdrop of like fat phobia is very heavy
Hmm.
in the book. And then looking at each of the characters, like, okay, do you think these two characters here, the main characters, would be excellent fit together. Do these traumas like really inform their decisions? So that was a really great discussion as well. But I think overall, if you're gonna read it, I think it's an excellent book just to like after the heels of Cast, I think we were all like, ooh, this is great. This is a really great ease into it type of thing. Um, I know everybody was saying plus size player is even more excellent. And I actually really am excited to learn about Nina's story.
Hmm.
I think it's gonna be really great. Yeah,
And she released the cover for the third one that's coming out next year, which was really, really cute. I'm texting
I
you
saw
something that
that.
you can't say out loud, but
Okay.
um,
Yeah, so I enjoyed that a lot. And yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. It was a really great like break. Then I read My Darkest Prayer. That was my last essay Cosby book. That was good. Um, yeah, I like that. It was just like a really, I think everybody should start at the beginning. Like I jumped into it like Razorblade Tears and just went on down. But if you start actually, honestly, for him, I feel like starting from the beginning really does inform his work a little bit more, which is why I think people are
yes.
just throwing out like, oh, it's horror. Like like if you just understand like his background a little bit more, it just helps. And he partly narrated the first part of it, so that was also helpful. So I think starting from the top is good.
So My Darkest Prayer was re-released. I want to say either that was like early last year. And he
Yeah.
puts an author note talking about like that was his first one. And like you
Yeah.
said, it does definitely inform his work, but it also gives you a path to truly see his growth, right? I
Yes.
think for you and I, the types of readers that we are, we could see that without having to read it in order. But I think for people
Hmm.
that are like newer readers or like want to read more deeply, like I challenge you to like start at an author's beginning
Yeah. Yeah,
because
definitely.
it'll do you like it'll change the perspective, it'll change how you see genre, right? It'll
Yeah.
change all of this stuff because I don't give a damn how scared you was. S.A. Cosby is not a horror author. I don't
He's
I
not.
at all.
There's elements of horror, right?
Right.
Right. There's elements of horror in a sense of like, oh my gosh, this is horrific that this happened.
Right.
But not
Right.
necessarily like, oh my God, I'm like spooked to death where I'm just like, this is comparable to
You want to know what
XYZ.
it made me say out loud because I'm getting sick of people like comparing things incorrectly.
Mm-hmm.
Have niggas never done a Venn diagram before? Like do they not teach the children that anymore?
I don't think they do. I'm so serious. I really don't think they do.
Because I'm like the easiest way because the same thing came up with comparing Ezra from A Love Song for Ricky Wilde to
Mm-hmm.
one of the twins from
Oh
Sinners.
yeah, yeah,
And I'm
yeah.
like, have you niggas never done a Venn diagram?
And you know what I think it is? I'm not sure if you remember that guy Drew that was trending on TikTok when the love song for Ricky Wilde came out. And his voice was very reminiscent of what Ezra
Hmm.
would sound like. And he's actually from Alabama, right?
Hmm. Yeah, I know who
I
you're talking
think,
about.
yeah, I think people have that in their head and those elements of him. And then on top of that, the element, obviously Ezra in it. And they're like pinpointing all of these things and placing it
Well,
in too.
so I asked in my Discord, and someone
Mhm.
said, um, they were like the whole point that both of them become immortal because of women that they didn't want to be
That
with.
too. Yeah, that's
And I
true.
said, fine, I see that as a surface level comparison, but if that's the only thing that they have in common, then they are
Hmm.
not the same, right? Because
Yeah.
they only have this one thing. I'm
Hmm.
like, if we think about um Smoke and Ezra and their character, right? And
Hmm.
in the decisions that they were making and the things that they wanted to do in
Hmm.
the long run, then you could say, oh, the only thing that's missing is
Hmm.
the immortality, but people don't. They was I was
Yeah, it was interesting.
it's very
But
interesting. But
but yeah, My Darkest Prayer, I finished that. And then what else? I feel like I read something else this week. I don't remember. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, I finished Josephine Baker's memoir.
how was
Um,
that?
I liked it. I think she's a very intelligent woman, of course. I think she's a very free woman. And I think you see the duality of her living overseas so early on in her career and going over there and how it informs how she looks at America. Because she talks about when she came back to America. I think we've also mentioned this before. A lot of our activists marry white people as well. And it's very interesting to see. That was the only thing that I was like, huh, interesting. But, I can understand why in her case because she was living in Paris, right? She was all over Europe. That's all she really honestly saw. But
Right,
outside of obviously the other greats that lived there, like James Baldwin, X, Y,
right.
and Z. But I enjoyed her, like, she talked about Israel and Jews and how she just felt like why, similar to how Palestine in that sense, she talked about that a little bit, touched on that and how um, well, not actually, it wasn't in reference to Palestine. It was in reference to Black people and how Jews treated Black people. That's what it was. And she talked about that towards the end of the book a lot when she went to the South. She was thrown off about like going down to the South and seeing how everybody moved and talking to people. Like it was just a very different experience from her because when she lived overseas and she traveled to all these places, everybody moved as one. And
Okay,
so I like that aspect of it is like her returning to home and seeing what her home endured in the realities of it because she was living free, like very freely. So I liked it. I think it was very interesting.
it was
There
short,
was
right?
yeah, it wasn't that long. It wasn't that
Okay,
long. Yeah, it's a nice little, I think it's only about like 100, no, maybe 200 pages solid.
okay,
And it's like only like a 6 hour listen. Yeah.
okay.
But I liked it. I think it was very interesting. Um, if you want to know about Josephine Baker from her perspective, I think it is a good read. Those are the books that I read. I went back to see Sinners and I saw it in 70 millimeter IMAX the first time, but we were so goddamn close. We were like, oh. So we got tickets. So me and my friends on Monday, we bought tickets because we wanted the film strip so bad
Okay.
and saw that the film strip sold out in Burbank. So we were like, okay, so we'll go to Irvine. They said somebody online said this film strips were sold out in Irvine. So we were like, dang, but we're like, we'll just go anyways because we want to see it anyways again. So we went, and then lo and behold, the guy
They
was
had
giving
them.
out film strips. And we were like, film strips, yay! So we got them.
I was going to suck it up and just go to the city for the 70 millimeters because they put more dates out. They're sold
Oh,
out already.
they're
They're,
sold
they're sold out.
out.
They're sold out already. So,
I would, well, it's great. I'm happy for Ryan. I'm happy for everybody that the
hmm
movie's a success, but they sold that thing out. It's so quickly. Um, yeah, I wish you could experience it in 70 mil. Hopefully they put out more dates.
yeah, if they put out more dates, I'm gonna keep an eye out because I'm like at this point, like I want
Mm-hmm.
to see it again anyways. But
Yeah,
I'm happy for him. I'm very happy
me
for
too.
him.
Me
And
too.
did you see that Othello is like the highest grossing
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
revival
yeah.
of a, but they're not nominated for any Tonys.
Oh, I did not see that part.
hmm Racism is strong and alive. Pope
Not
Francis.
one?
No,
Okay.
and it
Sorry to
grossed
cut you off.
$9 million. $9 million this revival so far, and it hasn't even been a full month yet, I don't think. Or it's just making a month.
Yeah, I think it would just make a month because they opened officially at the top of March.
So it would,
Or top or mid-March, somewhere around there. Yeah.
yeah, so like just over a month maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and nothing. But I'm like, it's all right. Because Pope Francis, he died recently.
Yeah.
And he
Yes.
got to heaven, he got to tapping on God's desk. So I feel like we'll have a factory reset by the end of
Oh
next
yeah.
week. I feel like because
Mm-hmm.
he got up there and was like,
Yeah.
"You want me to press the button, or you gonna do
Mm-hmm.
it? Because I could."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
it just it's annoying, and
Yeah.
and unfortunately, my thought process was, okay, y'all don't want to respect Denzel Washington, but y'all gonna play in Jake Gyllenhaal face like that? And what it's gonna take is for somebody like Jake Gyllenhaal to be like, "What's happening?"
It's so unfortunate, but it's like so unsurprising. You
It
know?
is, and then to know that Candy Burris is behind it,
Mm-hmm.
DeVal, and
Yeah.
all of these people that work very hard, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that are bridging the gaps between, like the economic status, right? Because you would
Yes.
think that somebody like DeVal, who we've only seen in Tyler Perry things, that was a football player in the NFL,
Yep.
excuse me, what would he know about Broadway?
Yeah, exactly.
What would Candy Burris, a singer, right? Who ain't had a hit record out for herself at least in 20, 30 years. What would she know? You get what I'm saying? So it's like a
Yeah.
Tony would have, you know,
Shut the people up.
it
And
would have.
people make fun of Candy and her stage plays that she had in Atlanta.
And her 59 jobs, Candy always
And her
working.
fish, she always working. But her husband, I mean, Todd, I think he's very, I don't know too much about Todd's whole background. I know he was on the show for Real Housewives of Atlanta, and his daughter and him were in production or are in production. But like I it's like they both work so hard. Like I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
disappointing.
sucks. It is. Because what they gonna do? Give that damn Betty Boop. I don't know if you've seen that, but there's Betty Boop. Betty Boop is on Broadway. What the fuck? That's gonna get a Tony?
Why is Betty Boop on
I have
Broadway?
no fucking idea, friend. But when I saw that, I was like, please be serious. There's that. We went to the city last weekend, and there's The Great Gatsby.
Mm.
And I'm like, for what? For what? Like, I'm sure there are things. I don't, whatever.
And I guess it's like people just want to see originality or like things that matter that make sense.
Yeah, like, do we really need The Great Gatsby?
No.
I can understand Chicago, right? That's one of my
Yeah.
favorites. I can understand, but then I saw what's that plus size model's name? Ashley Graham.
Yes, yeah.
I saw that she's gonna be Roxy Hart. I said, can the girl even sing?
You know who played Roxy that I was like very stunned by was Erica Jane from The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
I don't even know who the fuck that is.
She so she do you see what I'm saying? Like she played Roxy before her or something like for Chicago. And that is unsurprising because they had Erica Jane do it. And she's like, okay, so Erica Jane is like a techno artist, and her ex-husband now, who is 100 years old, she's like 40, now 50. But at the time when we met her, she was like 40 and he was like 70 or 75. Her husband was funding her life as a pop star, and he's a big time lawyer out here. And then he
Okay.
got sued, and now he has dementia, and it's a whole thing. But she was playing Roxy on Broadway. I was stunned. I was
I
like,
know, I
yo.
know Bob Fosse is in his grave doing flips.
Yes, these are the people
I
that
know
they put
he
up
is like,
there.
y'all don't respect my work.
Mm-hmm. Erica Jane, of all people from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, a no-name techno singer. I mean, she's big in that world, but like to us is no name. And then Ashley
I
Graham, a supermodel.
Bob Fosse is he is not pleased. Oh, and I know, white men of that time, Bob Fosse would probably be like, why do this nigga girl know who I am? I understand. I understand,
I
sir.
get, yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we can't not, like show some respect for his art and like what he did for the I just,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
know, I was saying to somebody had posted a clip of like a performance Beyonce did where she was paying homage to Hey Big Spender, right? Which is the Bob
Okay, yeah,
Fosse, whatever.
yeah.
A beautiful, beautiful, one of my favorite things to watch. And watching people talk about it, I'm like, y'all don't even know that this is coming from something else. Like y'all are looking at this as if Beyonce came up with this on her own. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
she added her own tweaks to it, so on and so forth. But y'all are looking at art and not understanding the source of it. And I was like, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
the problem because that's why people don't give Beyonce the credit that she deserves most times because they look at her stuff and just think, oh well, she doing this on her own. Like, no, she's studying.
Yeah.
She's
People
studying
are,
art.
yeah,
She's
people are
studying.
very, very much into the art of what they do. That's the thing that nowadays, like any medium that you see, there are people that are enthusiasts and lovers of the actual art. That's what makes good art at the end of the day. That's what fuels the art. Similar to like writing, if we compare it to writing and books and stuff, we're seeing a lot of celebrity memoirs. We're seeing a lot of like just people just writing just for the willy-nilly, right? But there are people that love this and they adore it. We talk about a Percival Everett that just knows the craft so well.
Thank you for saying his name. We
Yeah.
all know that Shelby wants a pet crow or a pet raven. I'm on a
Yes.
mission. I did not know that he had one. And you want to know what he named his pet crow?
Oh God, what is it?
Jim. Jim Crow.
See, and again, this is what I be saying. That man,
Man, I laughed for like 20 minutes the other night.
yo, because again, this is somebody that loves his art. He loves satire. He loves just trolling people through words. And people can't do that. That's an art. That's a skill. And we're losing recipes here.
Jim
Jim
Crow, I was talking to Sarah, and for whatever we were talking about, I was like, yeah, because I've always wanted like a pet crow or a pet corvid. Corvid is the like line of,
Yeah.
and she was like, oh, like Percival Everett, and I was like, huh? And she was like, oh, let me find you a link. Hold on, and she sent me a link, and I kid you not, it's a picture of Percival Everett with a crow on his shoulder named
I
Jim.
feel like I've seen that before. It gives, you know, that's a very interesting man. If I run into him around these streets, I I may scream in his face and then call you.
Huh? So I could scream through the FaceTime in his face.
Be like, hey, we love you. Where's your
Right, we
pet
love you.
crow?
Right, where's Jim?
Yeah, no, I think there's nowadays the art of loving the craft versus making the money off the craft is very
Yes.
big. And I could tell you when it happened immediately because as somebody that is a photographer and watched the downfall of photography. I mean, honestly, this could be true for centuries and years. We have people that poach on things, but I think now it's more apparent because of social media. And I remember it vividly in 2015, people were going in and just picking up cameras and saying, I'm a photographer and I'm going to make this art. And it did not look good It did. But as me, as somebody that thoroughly loves it, studied it, does it all the time, I get so passionate about it. I want to like punch somebody in their face.
I think that's why I'm so picky about saying, like, I'm not an artist. I just paint sometimes, right?
That makes sense.
I'm
Yeah.
not a photographer. I just take good pictures, right? I
Yes.
used
Yeah.
to dabble in it as a hobby.
Yeah.
So I kind of know what I'm doing. I'm not a writer, so to
Yeah.
say, right? I just share my thoughts because there
Yeah.
are people that are legitimately doing these things that
Yeah.
deserve the title. And I often think when people hear me say that, like I said, I was talking about wanting to do something like writing wise with Sharice earlier. And I was
Hmm.
like, I think I'm apprehensive about it because I don't feel like a writer, right? Like I feel like
Mm.
this is not like I like doing it, but I don't feel like a whatever. And she immediately goes into affirming me, which is fine. But I think people see that as like oh, you're talking bad about yourself when it's just like, no, it just is
It is
fact,
what it
right? Like I
is.
just
Yeah.
do this sometimes. And I don't necessarily know what will make me feel like a writer, right? Like maybe a year from now,
Hmm.
I'll be like, oh, it's been a year since I launched my Substack and I got X, Y, and
Hmm.
Z amount of subscribers, and maybe that'll make me feel real. Or like maybe when something officially gets published in a place,
Hmm.
then I'll be able to say like, oh, I'm a writer. I have a thing that's published, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not me talking bad about myself. I just think that's just realistic because there are legitimate writers out there that know what
Hmm.
they're doing, that like have a method to their madness. And then there's me. And I think to what you're saying, I think people don't want to do the work, right? Like they don't want to be
Exactly.
a novice anymore. They don't want to seem
Yes.
like they don't know something.
Yes.
They want to be able to just jump in and full fledged get all of the things that come with it. But it's like, no, you have to learn. And it's okay to be learning. It's
Hmm.
okay to be in the, how you like to say, there's an ebb and a flow. It's okay to be in the ebb,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
not necessarily a negative thing. Or like one of my videos, I, I was talking
Hmm.
about nonfiction books that I want to go back to read. And I opened the book, friend. And when I tell you it's annotations and all different kind of color pens, lines crooked, like all kinds of just
Hmm.
buffoonery. Okay.
Hmm.
And phlegmatism up bad. I was like, oh, I would like to throw this book in the garbage because what the fuck was
Yeah.
Shelbey a few years ago doing? And somebody was like, talk nice to yourself. And I said, correcting myself is not being mean to me.
Yeah. It's
Saying that
just
I could
it's
have done something better or
better.
I could have whatever
Yeah.
is not being mean to myself.
It's a critique. And I think people don't like I always say this, there's an art to critiquing yourself. Like there's an art to like and I learned this again specifically in art school. That's why a lot of these pictures look crazy because y'all don't be critiquing yourselves. But
Right.
or have somebody else critique the work, right? And I think there to your point, yes, right now you're learning. And I think what may make you feel like a writer down the line is maybe taking a course and being
Right.
like, oh, I know the right words to use or the structures and the right, like, I know the writing styles. I know what this means perfectly, even though I read all the time, I write all the time. I don't have necessarily the credentials or maybe the education or a little bit more knowledge
Right.
on it to
Right.
be like, oh yeah, I'm a writer. Like I can do it. And that's fair. I think that's fair.
I think it is too, but I think that's what's missing. I think people feel like they
Yeah.
should just be able to, oh, I pick up a camera and I press
Hmm.
the button. They don't even know that it's a fucking shutter. Like y'all you're laughing because I'm not wrong. Like
You're
if
not
y'all don't
wrong.
know how to do anything but turn the camera on or like the differences between lenses or like
A goddamn light meter. Let's start there. It's just like people don't use light meters no more.
I went to go
Yeah.
uh, like I still might do it anyway, but like to
Hmm.
submit my writing for something and it asked a question and I was like, I don't even know what the fuck that is. Like I'm not supposed to be I'm not supposed to be here. I have
Yeah.
no idea what they're talking to me about. I should this is
Yeah.
not
It's not your,
and
yeah.
that's okay. And that's
Yeah.
okay, right? Am
Hmm.
I probably going to submit my work anyway because there's a opportunity for me to grow and to get experience?
Hmm.
Yes. But and also, I'm okay enough with me to know, like, nah,
I'm
it's
not
people
there.
that's gonna look at
Hmm.
that question and know exactly what that is.
Yeah, and like same thing when I took the art direction course. I knew in a sense I was technically an art director just working and doing the things that I've done before, but I never in a sense didn't have the knowledge to put that behind it. So like having their certificate was like, okay, I can say this affirmingly that I am an art director because I learned all these elements to make me art director. Or like saying like even with the curating, I've curated several different exhibitions at this point. I can say, okay, yeah, I've done this enough to know that I am a curator. So
Right.
I totally understand that. And I, like you said, people don't want to learn. They just don't. They're
They
not in
don't.
that
And I don't think there's
journey.
anything wrong with learning, right? I was
Yeah,
having
yeah.
that conversation, like the opposite end of that conversation with my nail tech, because we were talking
Hmm.
about, I had mentioned that I had COVID, and she was telling me her opinions on COVID, and she asked me had I had the vaccine, and I'm like, yeah. And she's like, oh, but you got sick anyway. And I was like, shoot,
It works.
that's not how vaccinations work,
That's
right?
not how it works, yeah.
Um, so as we were talking, I said to her, I said, think about it in this way. You work in the nail industry, right? I was like, and
Hmm.
I'm somebody that used to casually paint my nails. So I could come in here and say something to you about gel nail polish, right? Because I know that and I know how to remove gel nail polish. I know like different brands and colors and like techniques for painting it on correctly and how long to cure, whatever the case may be. I said, but if you were to say something to me about how to apply acrylic, I could easily say, like, oh, that doesn't exist because it doesn't in my realm of knowledge. That doesn't
Yes.
mean that it doesn't actually exist. It just doesn't exist for
Hmm.
me. I'm like, the same goes for the information that you know about COVID. You only understand COVID from what you know and from what you understand from science classes that you took. She my age, so 20 fucking years ago. Okay. So it's like you it's easy for us to have these
Hmm.
very harsh opinions because we're only thinking from
Hmm.
our lived experience. And she
Yes.
was like, oh, I said, and then you have to consider with something like COVID, they
Hmm.
had to quickly give us a lot of information in
Hmm.
a way where everybody would understand that we needed to move quickly.
Quickly. Yeah.
So they didn't have time to sit and say 2 plus 2 is 4 because
Hmm.
they didn't have time to do that because people are dying. We need to do this quick, fast, in a hurry. I was like, so yes, your feelings are valid because they belong to you, but and also there are things that you don't know, and that is okay.
And that's fine. Like, it's cool, but in the age of information, we have Google at our fingertips to
Cause she
fact
was
check
like,
this.
I love my nail tech. Y'all know how I feel about my nails. I love my girl, but when
Hmm.
she looked at me and she was like, "Well, how did they create a vaccine so quickly for something that's new?" And I said, "Baby, because it wasn't."
It wasn't
She
new.
just looked at me. I was like, "It wasn't. It
And
wasn't new." I said, "You could
technology,
look on a bleach bottle, and a bleach bottle will tell you that it you can use it for COVID." And she just looked at me. I was like, there are just things that you don't know, baby. And that's okay. There are things that I don't know. And
and
that's okay.
that's the beauty of knowledge and Googling and learning. I think
That's
that's
okay.
okay. Leave it to the professionals, guys.
Right. I'm like, because I failed most of my science classes with flying colors. Now, I don't know what all they had to do back there to get us any type of vaccine. Okay. I understand
Yeah.
it enough to make a sound decision for me and my household.
Yeah.
But if y'all put a test in front of me, or if you told me to create a vaccine, I'd probably make you a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, and
Yeah.
that's okay, right? I don't know. You figure out how to get the information the way that you do, but it's like people just have black or white thinking, like it's either this
Yes.
way or it's that way, and
Yes.
it's never that. Like no matter what, like nothing is black and white in the way that we think or the way that we were taught that it is. Nothing is that way.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
Whew. We're in for a long ride with with these people.
friend.
Jeez. Jeez.
Did you see I put on Threads the other day. I said, y'all are reading historical fiction and applying 2025 logic.
Yes.
And somebody
Yes.
responded and said, well, that's not reading. I know. But when I tell them niggas that they can't read, they yell at me. So I have to speak to them in a way that they are going to understand. You can't apply that logic to, like, you can't apply today's logic to then.
We need a full episode on just historical fiction.
We do.
Just for
And
the
I'm going to have to pull
girls.
out a whiteboard and a
Yes.
marker.
Yes. We just need like a full breakdown of historical fiction for the girls because they are just not getting it.
They're not. And I'm
They're
like,
not.
y'all are making comments as if, because I'm like, it can go both ways. It could be about historical fiction, or it could also be about how we pass down information,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or thought processes or rituals or so on and so forth from our older generation. I'm like, y'all are not understanding that the things that our grannies and our great grannies and so on and so forth, the things that they taught us comes from them having to consider safety over like
Mm-hmm.
multiple areas of their lives, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, your granny was at home cooking and cleaning and never smelling like onion rings because she couldn't go out and buy land herself. She
Yep.
couldn't just go get an apartment by herself. She couldn't have a bank account. She couldn't do anything without the permission of her husband. So she needed that, right? So she passed that information on down to you because her thought process is even though the world is changing, in order to
Mm-hmm.
be safe, you need to do X, Y, and Z. That's the stuff that they're not consider. Like they're not
They're
thinking.
they're not thinking those things through. And I thought we all learned this. I mean, I know different education systems, but like, come on.
And then it's like that same issue, right? That same inability to like apply certain things correctly trickles down into other areas of their lives. So
Yeah.
it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
the reason that your relationship isn't working is because you're applying
Mm-hmm.
1865 logic to
Mm-hmm.
2025. It's not gonna
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
Because baby, you can't just get up and leave that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You can just get up and leave.
You can do that.
Bash
Yeah.
Mr. over his head and worry about God later.
Mm-hmm.
All of that to say, if I see another Christian woman sitting on that dear future wifey podcast getting embarrassed, I'm gonna go up there myself. I'm gonna go up there
I
myself. I'm gonna go up there
I
myself.
I didn't even finish the clip.
Friend holding his hand as he was like, yeah, no, she wasn't my type.
I could not even believe that was real when I saw somebody who's like they were saying like, oh, I hate when women go on that podcast and just degrade them, like have this man degrade them like that. I was like, what happened now? Why? Like, but again, he has had a lot of like crazy moments on that couch. Like the okay, there's one funny moment from that couch is the girl losing
Yes.
her, yeah,
Yes.
Whitney. That was it. That was the only funny moment. After that, we've had Derek Jackson. We've had Homegirl from last week that we talked about. We have Homegirl from this week. He had another scandal. Like he has a scandal every year.
I think what he's doing is solidifying why it is better to be single. Then I saw a clip of a man shaped like a melting ice cream cone, like the Mr. Softy cones.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like one that was melting. That's how his body was shaped. And he was sitting up there saying the age old, because it's always the nigga that's built like a can of busted biscuits that got so much to say about women and what they can handle. He was saying women can't handle the truth because if I tell you that I don't want a relationship or that I don't whatever, then I'm not going to get what I want. And the woman that he was speaking to was saying to him, like, that's not a woman not being able to handle the truth. That's you not being able to handle the truth because you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to accept that she does not want you. And he's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but I want her. She's like, yeah, but if you tell her the truth, she can navigate and go find somebody that she actually wants to be with, and you can find somebody that meets the parameters that you're setting. And he's like, but I don't want somebody that's meeting the parameters that I'm setting. I want you. Yes, you are the issue.
Yeah. You're the
Because
common
you're sitting here
denominator.
saying that you will lie and tell a woman whatever it is so that you can get what you want, and you don't see how that's manipulative. Whole time with him double D sitting on his chest, I doubt that there are any women having any kind of conversations with him. The closest that woman was sitting to him is the closest a woman has probably sat to him since Jesus was a boy. So I'm like, how you know? How?
I just don't understand the logic. And we gotta stop giving these men these platforms. Like, even the purpose of Dear Future Wifey podcast was for him to understand why he got a divorce.
Stop giving men microphones. Stop giving men microphones. Where that white lady at so she can sing it? Stop giving men microphones, because I'm tired.
No, for real. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, he was supposed to understand why he got a divorce and get remarried. Now he's over here playing in our faces every other week with a trending thing. Not every other week. It's every week now.
That lady was really sitting there holding that man's hand. He was like, yeah, because I like short, petite, light-skinned women. And she was the direct opposite of that. I said, y'all got to start throwing hot grits at these niggas again.
She was like, kiki in the corner. I said, no, I'm not.
Because I would have mushed that man right in his head. Who is you talking to? Do this by yourself.
No, for
you
real.
telling people you hate me in the privacy on your own time, not in my face. Not at all, actually.
Not like what? Not at all. Like, what are we doing here? Oh my god.
Oh, I would have. You know what? Being real, I would have sat there and I wouldn't have said nothing. We would have gotten a car. Listen, I would have been like, baby, what I need for you to do when we get home is to pack every morsel in that house that belongs to you, down to your socks, and get the fuck out.
No, legit.
Immediately. But I'm like, that goes back to people don't want to accept that religion and colonization go hand in hand. They're in a very abusive relationship. Ooh. And the reason just said, oh, here she goes. Just said, hey, y'all got it started. You on your own now, niggas. Just say, hey, you on your own, cousin. Listen, people don't want to accept that those two things go together, right? And because those things go together, the trickle down effect of that is impacting relationships. It's impacting how we see relationships.
Lecrae went on his podcast and doubled down on his thoughts about that, what he posted. Did you see that?
I did see that, and I was like, why are we listening to a nigga named Lecrae? I'm sorry. Ain't that a brand of sparkling water?
Is it? Oh, LaCroix.
Why are we listening to him? Why? Bullying works. Bullying works. And I think if we just got back to our roots and started popping niggas in their mouth when they spoke out of turn, we wouldn't have these issues. Because
no, for real. Because, like, my thing is, and this is on topic with the colonization thing. Mm-hmm. The thing with Lecrae that be killing me, and when back in the day, I used to be a Lecrae fan. I genuinely enjoyed his Christian rap because it was actually not cheesy. Mm-hmm. It didn't sound like a spoken word. It didn't sound like that. It just genuinely felt natural. Like he was rapping.
I didn't know that he was a Christian rapper. I'm an old school.
I'm gonna give you the lore. That's why it's so contradicting.
How you?
Let me give you the lore. Lecrae, for those that are listening, I'm gonna do my best to summarize this without missing details. If you know more than me, cool. But Lecrae was a Christian rapper, and he had his bouts with white evangelical Christians. He literally left the church in the middle of his rising rap Christian career because he was mad at white evangelicals. Do you see where this is so backwards? So then he speaks out, he has all these things, and then when he's not making money as a regular rapper, he comes back to Christian rapping. Molly Music also did the same thing too. We'll get that's another story for another day.
But Molly Music, wasn't he? Didn't he have an affair with somebody?
Maybe
I feel
that
like it was him
maybe
and
Dietrich Haddon, because they were kind of like they kind of not look alike, but like that was around that time. Maybe he did. I don't know.
because Molly Music, it's two songs that I like about him that
Hmm.
that was when he not working as a Christian
Yeah,
artist.
maybe he, I'm not positive, but I know he went out and came back. Both of them did around the same time. So Lecrae spoke out and then he had some conversation with a pastor, a white pastor, to, express his concerns about activism and social justice and being black in the church and all these things. And did all that and came back to Christian rapping and has, settled the things. Now he has his own podcast. I remember specifically watching a podcast with him and Kirk Franklin on there, and they also had their own back and forth at one point,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. And Kirk was talking about, again, like similar to what we're talking about, white evangelical Christianity, like how bad it is. And Lecrae was like teeter-tottering the line. So I'm like, these niggas is paying you some good money or something for you to be what you were thinking way back then, challenging the church, left the church, came back and still challenged the church. And then now you're saying this on the internet. That's why it was so crazy. Like,
See, but okay. So like you telling me this, I understand that you see stuff like that and you just be like, okay, whatever, I keep scrolling. I just wonder for the people that know all of this stuff about him, why are y'all reacting? Like, what is the need to prove to him that he's wrong? Do you get what I'm saying?
no, I totally get it. It's just like, I think what people get frustrated with is how outspoken it was because he was
Okay.
very outspoken. It
Okay.
was like loud and
Loud
loud.
and wrong. And my mama say, gay will teach you a lot if you just sit down and listen to it. But my mama say you gotta pick one. You either loud
Mm-hmm.
or you are wrong.
You
You
can't
can't be both.
you can't be both. No, for real. And I think he was loud about both issues. He was loud about this issue and he was loud previously about his feelings about the white evangelical church and how he felt about how they treated Black Lives Matter, how they ostracized Black people in church. Like,
Well, my question is why is we pandering to white people?
but that is again caste system, the
Yeah, yeah,
church,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
the like I even think about me growing up thinking back about it about the Adventist system and thinking about like we really had a black conference, like we have our own conferences, right? We had a black conference and a white conference, and we still pandered to the white conference. There was one time we went to GC, if you're familiar with Adventism, it's like a big world conference, like most of these churches and denominations do. We went to a we went to a big GC conference, and the pastor of the Adventist church, president of the Adventist church, I vividly remember this. There was a lot of black people. We're in Atlanta, so it's the Mecca.
Hmm.
Everybody's having a good time, praising the Lord. Da da da. Da. He got up there and was like, "Stop clapping! You guys are too loud." I said, "Oh, see, these are like the little things, and then we still pander to it. We still go to these conferences. We still pull up. We are the majority in a lot of these spaces, and we're still segregated. They're still segregated to this day.
Jesus Christ.
So baby,
Being smart is a burden. It's a
it
burden
is.
to me. It's a burden. It's a burden because I think the part of it that's the burden and why I say that is because I think we're taught that like when you learn something, you're able to apply what you learn, right? Like you get new information and you're able to adapt and apply it. And in
Mm-hmm.
this case, as I continue to learn about the world, the history of the world, different perspectives, right? Like different whatever, I can't actively apply the information because so many other
Mm-hmm.
people don't want to acknowledge it or don't want to learn it or whatever the case may be. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm stuck in this limbo with nothing to
Yep.
do but be in the limbo. Does that make sense? Like that's
Oh yeah,
that's why
absolutely.
that's why I get so annoyed because I can easily see the patterns and I can easily see times where I didn't see the patterns, right? And I acted a certain way and why I whatever. Like I have all of this self-reflection and then I'm just sitting with this information. Like I can't do shit with it.
Yeah. No,
And when I
it's
try, right? Like
mm-hmm.
when I say, oh, well, y'all should read X, Y, and Z, then y'all telling me it's trauma porn. When I try to say certain things, then nope, Shelby can't say that because people are offended or whatever the case may be. So it's like I have all of this knowledge and all of this information, things that are different than maybe
Mm-hmm.
how everyone else thinks, but I can't do anything with it.
Yeah, because people, I think the only time you're going to be able to do anything with it is if people are open, if
Mm-hmm.
people are understanding to, well, growing within
Right.
what the information is. I think that is very true with anything we see on the internet, all these discourses, all these things. People are not willing to actually hear. People are just yelling into the void and not listening to each other, not actively listening. We like to throw around these therapeutic words and not actually use them or misuse them. And it's like, I
I think
think,
about that man telling me that I was gaslighting him every day. I really do. Like Arya Stark with her names. Arya will go to bed
hmm
at night and list a list of names because when I catch you, I'm gonna kill you. And I do every night. I think about.
yeah. The world would be much better if people didn't have a phone in this way.
Yeah.
Like, or have not even a phone, but more so have the opportunity to express their feelings every second of the day. Like
Because
that's where we're at.
there's a sense of entitlement that like, oh well,
Yes.
I'm putting this out there, so you have to respond to me in the way that I want you to. And no,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
no,
Or another thing is tone.
yes.
We can't, a lot of people can't pick up on tone. We're all guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. But people don't sit back and think, okay, maybe they're not being dry or maybe they're not being mean. Maybe they just like to use punctuations.
You know, my last little rant before we get off of here. Speaking of tone and speaking about out of turn, y'all gonna stop calling Beyonce's children autistic. And you know she had the nerve to look in the way that she looking. Cause I wanted to say how you know, cause you is one. You know your people when you see your people. Bitch. I'm sick of that shit. Because you don't know Beyonce. You
You
only
don't.
know what Beyonce shows you. You only know what the people on the internet show you. You do not know them. And what you think autism looks like is a spectrum that was manipulated in a certain way to look a certain way. So what you
Yes.
think you're looking for is not actually what you're looking for because autism is a spectrum.
You know,
She is 7 years old. Her and her brother are 7 years old. They will be
mhm,
8 over the summer at some point in time because you know them auntie babies.
yes.
She acted the way a 7 year old acts. I
Just
think the
normal.
perfect description was somebody said Rumi got on stage and acted like she was meeting Beyonce for the first time because she probably was.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
mommy is at home. Mommy is at home
hmm
every day. Mommy is
hmm
tucking her in. Mommy is fussing at her about whatever. It's mommy
hmm
at home. She got to go on stage and she got to see
hmm
Beyonce. She not
hmm
Beyonce at home. She's mommy at home. Just
Yeah.
like Blue was up there dancing because she knew her employer
Yes.
was gonna have notes, not mommy, her employer
Employer. Yep.
with that laptop and that black hoodie.
Yes. Yes. I saw that and I said, why are we diagnosing people?
Why? Why?
No, like legit, why are we diagnosing people that we don't even know? A, why are we diagnosing people, period?
And then if Rumi and Sir are artistic, they are autistic and they have more money than you will probably ever touch in your life, bitch.
And why are
Punk
we
asshole.
another thing is like the speculations about Sir, because obviously we haven't seen him as much as the two girls. But like what if Sir is just a really shy kid that don't want to be out there? And if he is
Which
autistic,
she said, like he just doesn't like to be in front of the cameras and stuff the way that the girls do.
which is fine. I think we have to understand we don't demand access of people's kids and people's lives. I think we parasocial relationships, my God, today. No, legit.
Because I'm like, you're never going to know um Blue Ivy or Beyonce or her
Mm-hmm.
kid. You're never going to know, like ever, ever.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
I just
crazy.
um it's it pisses me off. And then I'm like, so I watched the whole Cowboy Carter tour the other night.
Yeah.
She put up pictures of Sir, and I'm like, the fact that she felt the need to do that,
Oh, when did she do that?
um, after after she sang Protector, there was a bunch of clips of Sir
Oh.
and Rumi as like small, like whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cute. I didn't see that.
Um, yeah. So it was after she sang Protector because I believe the song that she has for him was that My Rose was playing as she was showing.
Mm. Okay.
Um, but I'm just like, I I just don't understand people's sense of entitlement, you know?
Yeah, I think Jesus, I hate it here. That's all I
I
gotta
really
say.
do. And
That's
I'm
all I
like,
gotta say.
it Beyonce feels like she has, in some sense,
Mm-hmm.
and probably from her perspective, it's probably like it's not even that she feels like she has to, because the status that
Mm-hmm.
she is, she could never show them kids ever again and it wouldn't matter,
It
right? Because
wouldn't.
that's her prerogative. But because she's a good mother, because she knows that someday they are gonna see what the
Yeah.
internet has to say, so on and so forth, she's making certain decisions as a good parent.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'd be wanting to be like, girl, your husband was a kingpin. Move accordingly.
Like, you know how you could set the record straight for the people. Like, you could do the things if you really wanted to.
You
You
could
could
get on this
find the thing.
internet,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Like you could get on this internet and show your ass, and ain't shit gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't nobody gonna do nothing about it.
Yep.
Either that, or she need to let Solange do it. Something
Yes. Because Solange will take it home and she will take it to hell
she
real
is going
quick.
to drag it.
Yes.
Last thing for real, the little Jade. She is a
Mm-hmm.
comedian. So back in January, it
Mm-hmm.
like snowed. There was like ice outside the house, and
Mm-hmm.
she witnessed my uncle slip and fall. And there's like a video, her little voice saying, "Are you okay, Daddy?" Like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now, randomly, she goes, "Be careful, Daddy, don't fall," and then bust out laughing.
Freaking troll at the age of what? She's 3 now?
Three.
Oh my
I meant to tell you
gosh.
that the other day, and she was so tickled. Be careful, Daddy, don't fall.
Oh, Jade. Oh, Jade. Oh, Jade. Oh my God.
I was like, oh, she's
Just a
me.
reminder. Just a
Be careful,
reminder.
sir. Yes, she is hilarious. But yeah, and her little face, like you can see that she knows,
Hmm.
like that is funny. So
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
we've got a troll on our hands.
Good Lord. Oh my
So,
God.
and she destroys her brother's Legos too, so he has to hide them.
Is it like the real, like, nice, fancy ones that you paid a
Oh
lot
yeah,
of
we
money
got him.
for?
Yeah, we got him a Optimus Prime. That's like it's big
I know
too.
that costs money too. Mm.
Yeah, it was like $100 some.
Oh, destruction by the baby. Yeah,
Listen,
hide.
he
Yeah,
keep
you
them
gotta
in the
hide that.
basement and up
Mm-hmm.
high so that because if it's where she could reach, she want to play with it. It's a toy in her mind. So,
Yeah, I get that. But still, with the kids.
all right, y'all. We will see you in a couple months.
Yeah, we're gonna post the new book schedule.
Yeah,
Obviously
eventually.
we didn't discuss South to America this episode.
We were supposed to talk about. We both forgot. Oh shit!
I read it too.
Did you like it?
I thought it was pretty cool. I can
Okay.
see the similarities
Okay.
with people saying the book we're talking about is Ring Shout, guys.
Yes.
Um, I can see the similarities between people comparing sinners. I thought it was a cute little, not cute, but like a quick novella read that was like entertaining. The audiobook is really good.
Very
The
good. Do you see what
yeah.
I mean when I said like it doesn't feel as dark as Sinners does,
Oh
where
no.
like Lone Women feels dark?
Yeah.
Do you see what
Yeah.
I mean?
No,
Okay.
this feels more humorous. Maybe
Yeah, like light.
dark humor. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
So
bad. Yeah.
if you like Ring Shout, then you should read The Dead Cattail Assassins by him too. That was very
Did
good.
I get that one? I picked up a book by him. I'm gonna double check if
No,
I got
I
I got
forget
some time.
what you got, but you didn't. That it wasn't The Dead Cattail
Okay.
Assassins. The Dead
Is that
Cattail
his
Assassins is very good though.
okay. I'll get that. But I liked his writing. I think it was pretty cool. I thought it was just kind of funny.
It was when
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that first chapter where she was like, what I tell you about saying what I tell you about saying nigga in front of me. And she was like, I says it with a capital N.
I said, "Oh my God." Like there were some moments I was just like, "Bro, this is not."
That's gonna be the episode name. You
I
nigga with
says
a
it with the
capital N.
little N.
And she was like, and how are we supposed to distinguish if white people are saying it with a capital or a common
No,
N? And
for
she was like,
real.
if a white person say it with a capital N, you need to knock their teeth down their throat. I said, you know what, girl, you right. You are absolutely right, friend. That
He
is
was
exactly
right
how it is
about
in that
that.
situation. She was like, because they
Yeah.
always say it with a common N. Like, girl, shut up.
I laughed at that part. I was like, bro, this book is kind of funny. No, like legit. I think there was parts that was funny. I didn't find it horrific in any way. Um, I like the little historical elements of it. I
Yes.
like that. That was nice. Um, but I could see where people are pulling these elements and comparing it
Yes.
to Sinners. But like we said before, like there's pieces personally. But it's not a bad recommendation
Yeah, no,
also.
it's not a bad recommendation. I just don't think it's
Yeah.
as dark
Yeah, the Sinners. Yeah.
as Sinners is, which is why I
Yeah.
said Lone Women instead. But um, I totally forgot about Ring Shout. You want to
No,
know
it's
why? Because I did my reading wrap up and I talked about it already. So in my mind,
oh,
I
you're
checked it off
wrapped.
my
Yeah.
I checked it off my list. We talked
Mm-hmm.
about it already. It's not a thing. I totally forgot about that, y'all. My bad.
No,
Um,
so y'all had a good episode. It's
y'all
okay.
sure did. You get what you
Yeah.
get and you don't complain.
Yeah, no, literally. So check the Instagram page for our updated book schedule. Everything will be shifted to July through where are we? July through September.
Hmm.
Basically. And then we'll go from there. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoy the start of your summer. Be
Yes.
blessed, chill out, do the
Enjoy all the concerts.
yes. It's a
Kendrick,
lot of concert.
Beyonce,
All the
all
things.
that, all that. Hmm.
All right, guys. Check the
All
description
right.
box too.
Yep. Bye.
Bye, guys.